Nepal's Chief Secretary has now called a meeting of all secretaries and district officers. It's a virtual meeting of the district officials that will be held today at 5 p.m. This comes after several district administration offices and other government buildings across the country were set on fire. Officials were attacked amidst massive protests over the last 2 days. And the Chief Secretary, which will chair the meeting, will be discussing restoring law and order and resuming administrative functions nationwide. Sanjay Mishra is on the telecast with me. Sanjay, what more details can you tell us? It looks like there is some sense of calm, an eerie calm that has descended over the nation of Nepal. How are the administrative services going to resume to ensure law and order sustains?
बिल्कुल, देखिए मैं आपको बताऊं कि लॉ एंड ऑर्डर को मेंटेन करने के लिए कहीं ना कहीं उच्च अधिकारियों का दौरा आज नेपाल बॉर्डर पे हुआ है और अभी थोड़े ही देर पहले काफी यहाँ पे घनघोर बारिश हो रही थी। वहां से मात्र हम 5 से 700 मीटर की दूरी पे हम इस समय स्थित हैं और इसी बीच कमिश्नर शशि भूषण लाल सुशील और महानिरीक्षक अमित पाठक, ये दोनों लोग पूरे लाल लश्कर के साथ वहां पहुंचे थे। पहुंचने के बाद उन्होंने तमाम अपने जो अधीनस्थ अधिकारी हैं उनको दिशा निर्देश दिया है। सशस्त्र सीमा बल के जवानों को उन्होंने साफ तौर पर निर्देश दिया है कि लगातार पेट्रोलिंग करते रहे। ऐसे में देखा जा रहा है कि जितनी बहराइच की जो भी सीमा है जो नेपाल से जुड़ी हुई है, सभी जगहों पर एसएसबी के जवान, पुलिस के जवान जो है वो लगातार पेट्रोलिंग कर रहे हैं। नेपाल की अगर हम बात करें तो नेपाल के अंदर फिलहाल कर्फ्यू लगा दिया गया है और इस समय स्थिति सामान्य की तरफ बढ़ रही है। सेना ने पूरी तरीके से सड़कों पर उतरी हुई है और जो प्रदर्शनकारी हैं उनको साफ तौर पे उनको कहा जा रहा है, उनको लोकेट किया जा रहा है और उनसे ये कहा जा रहा है कि जो भी आपके पास प्रदर्शन के दौरान जो असलहे आपके पास थे, जो आपके पास वेपन थे, उसको आप जो है सरेंडर कर दीजिए। और साफ तौर पर उनका ये भी कहना है कि जिस तरीके से जो प्रदर्शनकारी थे उनका एक जनरेशन है, जेड जनरेशन यानी जेन जी के नाम से जिस तरीके से इन लोगों ने प्रदर्शन किया है, अब ये लोग पूरी तरीके से खुश हैं क्योंकि केपी शर्मा ओली जो है उन्होंने अपने पद से इस्तीफा दे दिया है। इसी के साथ में 9 मंत्रियों ने और इस्तीफा दे दिया है। यानी पूरी तरीके से सरकार, आप मान सकते हैं कि सरकार का तख्ता पलट बिल्कुल होने के कगार पे है। अब कौन कार्यवाही
Okay, all right. Sanjay, I'll keep coming back to you. Stay on with me because we're getting more updates. We're getting to understand that the Indian government has sent a special, is going to be sending a special aircraft to evacuate Indian citizens that are stranded in Kathmandu airport. The airport remains closed today as well. The government is making efforts to ensure the safe return of its citizens. The Indian government is preparing to send a special aircraft to bring back passengers who have been stranded at the airport since yesterday. There are over 700 Indian citizens that are believed to be stuck at Kathmandu airport. Efforts are being made to coordinate with the Nepalese army to send the aircraft from Delhi to Kathmandu. Officials from the Indian embassy in Kathmandu are also in touch with the Nepalese army to facilitate the arrival of the aircraft and ensure the safe evacuation of Indian nationals. Discussions are also underway to send 2 Indian Air Forces planes to Kathmandu. General P.K. Sehgal, a sensitive situation. Of course, at this point of time, discussions are taking place. The Indian government is resolved to ensure the safety and security of the Indian nationals that are stranded. A number of them, we are getting to know, are still inside the international airport in Kathmandu. 2 aircraft are being deployed for the airlift operations to happen successfully. We also got to know just a couple of hours ago that there are over 170 people from Andhra Pradesh that had travelled to Nepal and they are also stuck. There are about 40 of them who are in Punjab. They are also stuck. Sorry, beg your pardon, in Gujarat they are also stuck. There were a bunch of tourists that had travelled for religious tourism. How soon do you think this evacuation process can proceed?
As far as the Indian Army is concerned, it's got enough expertise and experience in handling such situations. We've been able to pull out our diaspora very safely from all areas where there has been confrontation and violence, whether it was in Gaza or in the Middle East, or whether it was in Ukraine or elsewhere. As far as the Indian Army is concerned, the Indian government is concerned, we've got very good and very sound relations with the Nepalese army. And I'm very certain that between the 2 armies and between the 2 nations, because the civil administration, the civil writ does not run. Once the army guarantees and assures that it will be absolute safe to land there, the Indian Air Force has kept 2 aircraft standby There may be civilian aircraft also standby to go in, and I'm very certain that we'll be able to pull out all Indian nationals without any problems whatsoever. At present, all international airports in Nepal are closed. The people there are chary of they know that the international airports will be used by the ministers and the surviving prime ministers to flee the country, because some of them have sought asylum in Dubai, some have sought asylum elsewhere, and they don't want them to leave. But all the ministers as well as the erstwhile prime minister are under the safe custody of the Nepalese army, and I'm very certain the Nepalese army will ensure that no harm is done to them.
Okay. Okay.
But
stay on with me. Sir, I'll just come back to you. After 2 days of the violent uprising, Nepal's Gen Z and civil society are working to rebuild the nation, is what we're getting to know. Roads have been blocked during the protests. They are now being cleared. There are youth volunteers that are on the ground. They're working alongside security forces and community members. There was a young protester by the name of Arjun Bishta, in fact, said that the youth fought the corrupt system yesterday, and they are now clearing the streets today, and tomorrow they will build a strong, free and democratic Nepal. General Sehgal, again a situation such as this, where yesterday there was chaos, the streets were being burnt down, the public institutions were set on fire. Today the cleaning process starts. In fact, it is the same youth who had protested, demonstrated on the ground, these demonstrations turned violent, and today they are back on the streets cleaning up their city.
There is absolutely no faith and trust as far as the public institutions are concerned. All of them were tainted, all of them were corrupt, and the youth have lost total and absolute confidence in the public institutions. That notwithstanding, the army would be able to restore a certain amount of confidence, and the army would also ensure that no further violence takes place and the situation returns to peace and tranquility the soonest possible. What happens hereafter is questionable. I do not know how soon would the next government be formed and who would be the next prime minister. Whether it's the rapper who's been supported by the army, who's just 34, by the Americans, who's just 34 years old, who has no experience and expertise whatsoever of either administration or running the government. Could he be the prime minister, or would they be some other people? Those who are under contention are already above the age of 70 and 74, and they belong to, again, once the erstwhile type of people who were hand in glove with the corrupt people. As far as KP Sharma Oli is concerned and its 5 of the predecessors, there were serious allegations of corruption against them, but no action had been taken. In the last 25 years, from 2000 to 2025, constitution has been changed. It turned over 6 times, and there were 19 prime ministers. Unfortunately, 12 prime ministers were of the 3 families only: the Dal family, the Duba family, as well as the KP Sharma Oli family. As far as Dal is concerned, he had been the prime minister 5 times, and Duba was 4 times, and KP Sharma Oli was 3 times. And all of them stood by each other when the government changed over and when the new coalition came up. Unfortunately, as far as the per capita income of Nepal is concerned, it's the lowest at this point in the world. And while the lifestyle of the ministers and their children were absolutely astounding, the Nepalese youth who were educated, who were qualified, their lifestyle was absolutely down in their dumps.
Absolutely. Therefore, there was this massive protest and outrage over the Nepo kids that were being given, that were raised in privilege with the best of the education, did not have to work, and while there was the youth, the maximum number of the maximum number of the population is under 30 years of age, and there's unemployment, there are no jobs, there is no security, inflation at this point in time extremely high, GDP growth rate at the base minimum, and the outrage that has ensued because of